This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The biggest icon in podcasting.
Welcome, everyone, to the latest episode of Doc and Jock, your favorite online content in the world of Detroit sports. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me, my guy, Adam, the Jock Strozinski. On today's show, we got a lot to get to. The Detroit Tigers had a rough bump, but boy, did they make up for it. I kind of had a sense, psychologically, that they wanted to take out their frustrations on Alex Bregman and the Boston Red Sox. My God, did they unleash their frustrations on Boston on Monday after a series loss, but we'll talk about it. Our panic level of concern after a series loss, it's not going to be that high, but we got to talk about it. We talked about some red flags. They continue to kind of showcase themselves with Jack Flaherty, and we'll talk about now an injury that could prevent the Tigers from having success, so we'll break it all down. We'll check in with Lions rookie minicamp, what we saw, what we liked, just briefly talk about the schedule, what Adam, I'm just curious what he wants to see week one, Thanksgiving, and things like that with the Lions. And to end the show, the love that Detroit sports and content creators have about talking about free agents and making trades and making additions, I love it. I love that aspect of sports where we look at teams and we go, they're good. Tigers, Pistons, Wings, Lions, they're doing their thing. Wings obviously far behind, but everyone else is kind of building. But how do they get to the next level? Are they willing to make external moves? Well, a lot of fans after the Pistons season are looking. They want to shop. Some big names y'all want to talk about. And I laugh, but I'm curious to get Adam's sense of, could a megastar come to Detroit? I don't even know if we know how to handle a megastar. We got Doc and Jock with big egos. We got all the media. We got big time radio personalities. Can the Detroit sporting landscape handle a megastar? I'm curious to get Adam's sense of it. But to kick off the show, cuz, what did you make of the series loss to Texas? Look, it's the Rangers. They're a decent team. They have, good pitchers. I take the stance when you're a team that's playing well, you're not going to win every series. There are things to talk about and get better at, but DeGrom had a good performance. You were limited offensively, and sometimes, and I like what AJ Hinch said. He said, look, there are times when you face a pitcher that's getting well paid too, that they're going to have your number. And I felt Texas kind of had the game plan maybe a little bit better to stifle the Tigers' offense. And it was a series loss. It was alarming a little bit in that, they gave up 17 runs to a Rangers team that's not expected to do a whole heck of a lot. But look, I look at it like, I kind of feel like for this little period of time, this little slice, felt like the Tigers earned, look, you're not going to play great over a course of 162 games. I'm not that upset about it because we get the benefit of seeing then the Tigers go up against Boston game one and whoop their ass. Like they came out and said, oh, Bregman, I think we kind of remember that you shunned us. We're not good enough for you, Mr. Alex Bregman. So we're going to come out there and show you we probably don't even need you. And what a way to start that series. So what was your thoughts about the Texas series? Did it bother you at all that Jack Flaherty gave up bomb after bomb when it was as each ball was leaving the yard? I just kept writing down, oh, Adam's gonna love that. Oh, Adam loved that. I love that one. Oh, that one left the yard too. Oh my God, what timely content from Adam. What'd you make of the Texas series?
So I think there was a couple of things that happened here, right? So yes, I was a little bit nervous seeing them just basically get demolished over the course of the weekend, giving up 17 runs when this team hasn't given up 17 runs over the course of 3 different series. So yes, a little bit concerned with what I've seen. And again, Jack Flaherty basically going out on the mound and then setting himself on fire yet again. Again, lots of concern there. But what I think had happened was this is a team that played 4 different series, 4 different time zones. They quickly turned around, came home, and took on a Texas Rangers team that is not very good at the plate, but does have decent starting pitching. And I think that led to some bats going cold, and I think that maybe got the best of them. Texas erupting for 17 runs over the course of that series is really unexplainable to me. I just think guys were wore down. I think there was a little bit of, I don't want to say checking out, but I just kind of feel like they had like 2 getaway days, right? Like they were just kind of off because everything just kind of culminated and they're like, okay. And look, when you play 162 games, these types of things happen, right? You're going to have these swings where things just go horrible for them. And I'll be honest with you, when I initially was setting up parts of this rundown, there was a whole lot of stuff built into Tiger talk regarding the sky is falling and being concerned and how real was that series. And then you give it 24 hours and you see the Tigers mash the ball for 14 runs against Boston. And then you're kind of like, well, okay. And look, on Tuesday they're rolling out pitching chaos, so we'll see if that has the magic that it did during the playoffs. So I don't think there's any cause for concern. I think the one thing that I can take out of what I seen Monday night compared to what I seen Saturday, Sunday is I think this team has resiliency. This team is mentally tough. This team is going to go out and they're going to scrap and they're going to give you their very best all the time. And sometimes that doesn't help you win games, right? But I think it's more of a mindset and it shows you kind of what this team is at their core. Yes, they're scrappy. Last year, they were kind of plucky, right? Like they were this underdog team that out of nowhere got hot and was able to make it to the playoffs, won a series, and had the possibility to win another one, but they didn't. I think that experience was good for this team. I think this team understands and they know how to win, and they know how to bounce back after getting their asses kicked. And that's a very, very tough thing to do. And I think you're seeing it with this team. You're seeing what their true colors are. You're seeing how they bleed. And I think that's a good thing. Like going into this season, you were a little bit higher on this team than I was. I didn't think this team was going to make the playoffs. I thought this team was going to miss out. But right now, this team is the best in the American League. I don't know if that makes it all the way through the 162 game regular season, but I do think this team is going to be incredibly tough for everybody they play. And I do think this team is going to make the playoffs, and I think this team is going to be incredibly scary for whoever they face. Right now, I look at this team as a World Series contender. I think they can do this. I think a guy like Jack Flaherty needs to get it figured out. He got lit up. Reese Olson got lit up. And then you find out that they're putting Casey Mize on the 15-day DL. And when that news came out, I was like, cool, there's the other shoe that needs to drop. We talked about it last week, like how long can Casey Mize stay healthy for? And he didn't even make it an entire week since we uttered those words, and he's on the 15-day DL. So I'm a little bit nervous about what I'm seeing with the pitching staff right now, more so Flaherty, because, again, it just doesn't look right. This is the guy who is supposed to be your number 2, and he does not look that part at all. He doesn't even look the part of your number 3 pitcher right now. You have a guy like Jackson Jobe going out and winning ball games and looking a little bit more composed than Flaherty does on the mound. And then you factor in Casey Mize, who has been putting together a very nice season, a very nice rebound season. And now he's going to the DL. It's a hamstring injury. You and I both know this. Those things don't usually heal real well. They tend to linger, and this could be a problem going through the rest of the regular season and even into the playoffs. And right now, you could make the case that he is realistically your second or third best pitcher on this roster. So that is a big concern for me. Are you nervous about what we've seen from a guy like Jack Flaherty? The weekend, Olson gets rocked and takes an L, and then Casey Mize now on the DL, and he's been such an integral part to this pitching staff.
Listen, it's one of those things where you made an investment financially in him, so it's based on the contract. So, yeah, there's a concern, but the blessing is the team's winning. They're over 500, and so I look at it like a pitching staff with 5 pitchers that are starters. There's always going to be one. There's sometimes just that weird anomaly where that one guy has sometimes not the pulse of the team, or there's some issues where the time where he pitches, it's just lower run. It ends up being where the start of the year you get lower run support. Then you start pressing a little bit. You get out of whack. So look, I think what gave me confidence in the Tigers was their pitching staff. That's why I said over 83 games winning. I thought that, okay, pretty clearly this pitching staff has a chance. And if the offense can get back rolling with a little bit of luck, there's a chance this team would be good. So I'm concerned to the level that you're paying this guy quite a bit of money, and the Tigers already whiffed on Maeda, and you're giving Cobb. You're like, man, some of the external decisions. That's where guys like Brad Holmes would be like, if he wanted to joke around, if we had a beer with him, he'd be like, "So y'all want some external options, huh? We gave Flaherty a lot of money, gave this Maeda a lot of money, gave this Cobb a lot of money," and then I'd tell Brad, I'd be like, "I didn't want no Cobb. I didn't want him. The guy was on the scrap heap." Flaherty, I liked that they brought him back, but I wasn't clamoring for him. I wanted Bregman. I want more bats. But with the Detroit Tigers, I do think that the concern level for me is Casey Mize. Like, he was starting to emerge, and this pesky hamstring is going to be like one of those deals where you got to wait for the other shoe to drop. Like, he's playing well. He's pitching well. His slider was looking pretty good, looking like a number 1 overall pick. And then he has this little 15-day IL stint. You're like, man, bad timing, but you hope it's just going to be short term. I'm not that concerned with Mize. I think he'll come back and hopefully get back to form. I loved what Jackson Jobe was able to do to rebound after his last start. So look, it's the ebb and flow of baseball. I think that once Flaherty gets locked in and whatever it is that he's working on to get through it, I do think that, look, in baseball, it's pretty clear, my notes on Flaherty when we talked about it before the show. You got to get ahead in the count, man. When you don't miss and locate your pitches and you get into that 2-1 count, 3-1 count, these hitters, man, these average 240 hitters, they hulk up to become 350 hitters. It's just analytics. It's simple math. You get behind in the count, boom, these hitters have a major statistical advantage. So get ahead in the count, locate your pitches, get back to being confident. I think Flaherty will get back to form, but it may take a while. What's crazy to me, because before we talk about the Lions, I still am surprised that the local media really harps on the Tarek Skubal contract. I love the fact that people are wondering, should they pay him? Should they not pay him? But it's kind of one of those, like the Lions DN. It's kind of like one of those recurring topics you can always talk about. But I look at it like the Tarek Skubal situation. It's delicate, but I think it should be talked about more around the deadline. Like, let the man ball. Like, every time he has a good start and dominates, we should just say, man, he's on his way to win a Cy Young. I just think that kind of talk about whether you should trade him or sign him, I get it, but I don't feel like it's a topic that's going to be discussed during the year. I feel like the week before, it's a fair topic to talk about. I think time and place, it's a distraction to talk about Skubal. I mean, he's just dominant. I want to keep enjoying it. And I just don't want to think about, hey, the fact that we could lose him. I do think, though, at this point in time, whatever happens with Scott Harris, I just think that he'll make the right call. Whether it's, hey, we let him go, we let him just pitch, just let him pitch out the year. Like, you're not forced to do anything. So I understand the topic and the nature of it. I'm just surprised that a team that's really at the top of the AL with their record is worrying about extensions and contracts. I'm more worried, like what you said. Casey Mize, can Javier Baez continue his good play, continuing the bats, executing at a high level. And the good thing is Matt Vierling's coming back. So I just say for everybody, table the Tarek talk. Enjoy his bobblehead. Enjoy the things that he's doing well. Enjoy watching a Cy Young pitcher, because we're literally watching one of the best pitchers of his era dominate teams. So I'm enjoying it. I'm not worried about his contract in any fashion. I enjoyed the fact that this team is resilient, and I think moving forward, this is a playoff team. And cause I'm telling you, I'm putting my stamp on it. This team's going to add. They're going to add a pitcher. They're going to add a bat. They're going to add 2 players, and they're going to make a run. I think they're going to get to the Final Four, and then the rest is gravy. I think this is a good baseball team. When you got the analytics on your side, when you're doing well, there's a lot of good things. So that's just where I'm at with it. What's your concern level with Flaherty on a scale of 1 to 10?
Probably an 8 or a 9. I seen the article you sent me from Evan Petzel, and I quickly skimmed through it. And in the article, it talks about his fastball kind of being the problem. And look, when that's an issue, when the fastball is an issue, you have to realize the fastball, especially for a guy like him, sets up the rest of the arsenal. That's what leads to the different breaking balls that you have, whether it's a slider, whether it's a split finger, whether it's a changeup. It leads to those because that is the pitch that kind of the baseline, right? So the arm slot and generally the way the ball comes out initially, it looks the same. So it's what's there to deceive the batters when they're up there at the plate. You throw a 94 mile an hour fastball, and then you come back with a breaking ball that comes in there at 86. Generally the batter's swinging early because he sees the arm slot, he sees the way the ball comes out of the hand, and next thing you know, it's a timing, and he goes to time and he swings and he misses. So with that being the issue, it really messes up the rest of his arsenal. So if you don't have your fastball, and look, this is what happens with older players, and remember, this is a guy who has a history of back injuries. Your back goes, your mechanics go, the shoulder can go. It's a chain reaction. So it's huge right now. My concern level is monstrous because it's not just one thing. This sounds like it's a little bit more systemic, where it's multiple things not working for him, right? So the release could be bad. The timing could be off. It could be a little bit of a muscle tightness. It could be an issue with the back. It could be an issue with not being able to get his arm far enough back when he goes to get the pitch in the ready position. So like it could be a ton of things. And right now, what you're seeing is he's getting pieced up whenever he's going in there, and he's not reliable. He's not a guy who's going to be able to get you outs, especially swinging at pitches. So my concern level is huge. I want to come back to your Tarek Skubal thing. Look, Tarek Skubal's been pitching out of his mind, been absolutely unreal. Do you think that conversation comes up as much as it does because guys are concerned that as he continues to pitch well, obviously that price tag is going to go up? We tend to have a general manager that I would call cheap, or not general manager, but a owner who is cheap and pinches the pennies and seems almost as though he enjoys getting into squabbles with players over dollars and cents. Like it almost seems like he gets off by willing whatever type of contract he wants. So do you think that might lead to that continued conversation of beat writers, radio hosts, people on Twitter, people just kind of at the barbershop or at the bar, just constantly talking about how we need to lock up Tarek Skubal long term, because obviously he is the ace of this staff, and he's a guy who's going out there and essentially he is earning every penny that he is basically racking up for himself right now.
Makes sense, to look at it, because there is still a level of doubt that Ilitch will invest, and that's where it's at. It's that in Detroit sports, it's more of a global symptom of getting the megastar, and we'll talk about that with Giannis in regards to the Pistons. But how much are teams willing to push forward? It seems like the teams are kind of going the slow developmental route, which is first gear to second gear to second gear to third gear, where fans are like, dude, you're not going that slow on the rate. You're increasing the prices for us to watch you. You're going from first gear to fifth gear in the rates. You won one playoff series, and all of a sudden you tear down the seats and are like, we have new club seating that's going to cost you $100,000. Would you be interested in that? I'd be like, no. I'd be interested in spending some more money, and then I'd be interested in maybe thinking about maybe a 2-game package, maybe buy one, maybe a little BOGO action to kind of entice me to get to some of these expensive seats. But look, that's just how it is. Fans should always want more. And I agree with you 100%, that people they doubt that the money's going to be there for big name players. And we'll see, because I think that the culminating factor is you may end up deciding that, $400 million for Tarek Skubal in his 30s is not a good idea. I would be okay with that, because I do think he's going to command north of $40 million. I'm of the opinion, you know what? You could if you can get 3-4 good players and 2 of them hit, you get a couple pitching prospects, couple infielders. I'm okay with that, because the Tigers have shown that they can develop talent. They still got Jackson Jobe and they have young guys in Reese Olson who's pitching pretty well. So that can make up for a lot of factors. And you got some talent in the minors. So it's not a horrible situation, but it is a PR nightmare, because it will fuel the speculation that Ilitch is cheap. And we'll see if he's able to shed that as Tarek goes on and has success. Because with the recent completion of rookie minicamp, what stood out to you? Clearly, I think the name that everybody's kind of focusing in on a lot is Isaac Tesla, the Arkansas wideout. He was the target of a lot of early targets from the tryout quarterback, and he kind of showcased himself well. But people are still looking at some highlights and clips, and they say, well, it kind of looks like he's a little bit slower than what you'd want. But to me, when that hubbub came out, I was like, okay, look, I know everybody wants their wide receivers to be super fast, super tall, athletic, and things like that. But to look at one practice where they're in shells and not going full speed and not running the full allotment of the plays, it's a little tough to come out and one draft analyst was like, oh, this looks like he's concerned that he can't separate. Yeah, he's going to work on it. I think my big takeaway from camp is I love the linemen. I love Frazier and Tate Ratledge. I'm happy with what you could see from them. I don't think that Ratledge is going to be the apparent center. I think Frank Ragnow's got a good 2 years left in him, but you want to have options. You want to feel comfortable that if something happens, you got Glasgow, and something happens to him, you got Ratledge, and then the same thing's going to happen with Frazier. You want to cross-train these guys.
What about if Frank does retire in 2 years, right? Like you said, you feel like he's got 2 more years left.
I think.
What about when he retires? Does then Tate Ratledge take that position over, or do we feel like he's going to be a guard here with the Lions? That's going to be his position. They're going to slot him in. I'm assuming it's probably going to be left guard if you've got Graham Glasgow. He plays a better right guard position than he did a left guard position last season. So I'm assuming he's going to be on the left side. Is that going to be his spot? Is he going to be the left guard and that's where he's going to be slotted in? And if he has to, if for some reason something happens to the center, he could maybe moonlight there.
Yeah.
But at this moment in time, when Frank goes to retire, do you feel like it's going to be more something where they draft or they bring in whoever that guy is who's going to replace Frank Ragnow?
Great comment, moonlight. I think that Frank Ragnow is going to be a staple of that offensive line. I kind of look at it like, the battle, it's still early to judge fully, but I think there's an opportunity. There's going to be 4 offensive linemen battling for 2 guard spots. And you got Mahogany, you got Tate Ratledge, you got Frazier, and you got Graham Glasgow. And I think the winners are probably going to be Mahogany and Ratledge. You can intermix at both guard spots at different times. But I think the ideal spot is when you're a young player and you want instant success, I think that Christian Mahogany could slot over to left guard and you play Tate Ratledge at where he played in college for the maximum success. But I think you can intermingle and you can have different opportunities at different times for Graham Glasgow to get in the mix as a rotation. But I do think that Tate Ratledge has the skills to be able to play and do a lot of different things, as well as Miles Frazier. I think they like what he can bring to the table as well. So a couple different options for the Detroit Lions. And when you invest draft picks, that's what you want. And so I think that early on, Tate Ratledge, my first takeaway was that he's going to be probably your first impact player that can probably play day one and probably be somebody that can contribute. Tesla is, and I've said it across multiple platforms, I think he starts the year wide receiver 4, and then he ends the year wide receiver 4. I think he's going to get the, star treatment because he was a player that they traded 30 spots for. People want to know what he does, but I don't think that when you're Jared Goff, let's use common sense, people. I get the hype. I love it. We talked about him. Clearly he's, a tall wide receiver that is, playing a skill position. So you want to talk about him. I get it. But I don't think if you're Jared Goff in the biggest playoff moments, you're going to throw it to Tesla, or you're going to throw it to Tim Patrick and J-Mo and Amon-Ra. So I do think there'll be targets for him, but he won't be the primary target in a lot of routes. He'll be out there for wide receiver sets. He'll be a contributor. I would expect that. But I think that he's going to get the benefit of the hype because he's a homegrown guy. He likes the Lions. He's going to be a guy that easily acclimates to the fans. They're going to like him because of his attitude and what he says. But I say pump the brakes. He's got work to do, and it's going to take time at the NFL level because John Morton's not going to be like, hey, Rook, I'm just going to give you a couple routes and you learn them. He's going to be like, here's the playbook, learn it all. And when this defensive back does this, you check into that and da-da-da. And he's going to be like, holy cow, there's like 45 more routes off of one set here. And he's like, I didn't do this shit in Arkansas. He's like, yeah, we know that. Your tape showed that they didn't give you a lot of the tape. They kind of held back because your quarterback sucked. Not your fault, kid, but here's the playbook and learn it. And that's what happens. It just takes time. So I think early on, Ratledge, and my takeaway is that Tyleik Williams will be the contributors, and the rest, you give them time over the first quarter of the season. And then when we hit October, November, we'll start to see their level of involvement. So that's kind of what I thought. What did you like reading about? What did you like hearing about from camp? I just think that it's a scaled-back version. It's a quick 90 minutes, not a lot of passing. You didn't have, a quarterback that's going to even be on the roster. But you do get a sense of, okay, these guys look the part. You see the speed and athleticism of Dan Jackson. You see Lovett, a little bit undersized, but can be a special teams contributor. You see a little bit of the stuff, and people say, hey, Ahmed Hassanin is a guy that's a try-hard guy, going to learn, practice his craft, and do everything he can possibly to get out there. And it sucked that Tyleek was kind of still dealing with whatever issues he brought to the Lions after the 2024 season. It looks like that people, you guys are great. Your the internet sleuths saw that he got hurt, in workouts and did some things. He got hurt at his pro day, and he's kind of been working through it, and he's going to be okay. He downplayed. He said, I'm good. They're just taking it easy with me. So it's the Ennis Rakestraw plan early with Tyleek. It's fine. It's not going to be an issue that's going to linger into training camp in any capacity. So I thought that it was a professional, good environment to see what's going on. And I think more people are cared about the schedule. When you look at it, Cuz, who do you want to start? A couple questions before we turn our attention to the Pistons. Who do you want them to open week 1? Who would you like them to see? Who would you like for the Lions to play on Thanksgiving? And we know they're going to get a lot. Probably the Bears on Monday Night Football, or probably one of the combination of the Ravens, Steelers, Cowboys in primetime. With the Lions schedule, they're like, holy crap. Lions, Bengals, Lions, Ravens, Lions, Cowboys, Steelers. There's a lot of opportunities for the Lions to play in games not at 1 o'clock. So get your coffee ready, get your coffee pot updated, because your ass is going to be, I'm sorry, cuz, got to tell you, your ass is probably going to be, when this schedule comes out, the day after we record this, you're going to see a lot of night games. You're going to see a lot of 4 o'clock games. You're going to see a lot of Sunday night, Thursday night. It's going to be like, oh, how many 1 o'clock games? Probably 3, because the networks love the Lions. Their ratings bonanza. Their stories galore. Now Tassar Choice burst onto the scene. When you see his video, he's like full of energy, and he's ready to run through a wall. So curious, those 3 things. What are you looking for from the schedule?
I think week 1, I'd probably like to see Washington.
Yeah.
A little bit of
right
redemption. Away. Yeah, exactly. A little bit of redemption from what happened last season. See what the Lions can do. I think for Thanksgiving, I've got 2 teams that I really like, and one is really contingent on if they can swing a trade. I would love to see Cincinnati on Thanksgiving, and if you can get Trey Hendrickson here, I think that the storylines are just bonkers, right? I think the storylines are absolutely crazy. If not Cincinnati, I always enjoy seeing Pittsburgh. When I was a kid, the coin flip game with Jerome Bettis, where he's out at midfield, and I think he called tails, and it ended up tails, and the referee somehow heard heads, and the Lions got the ball and went on to win. That game it was just like one of those core memories for me. So I always have a fondness for seeing Pittsburgh on Thanksgiving. I would like to see Kansas City or the Rams for probably a Sunday night football game. Maybe see Chicago or even Tampa Bay for a Thursday night football game. And then I'm wondering if they're going to get a Christmas game this year. If they did they already announce who's playing on Christmas Day? I don't think they've announced that yet. I know they do this soft release. I don't think they've announced this yet. If the Lions do play on Christmas Day, I would love for them to play Dallas. I think that would be fantastic, or maybe even Philadelphia. And I wouldn't mind seeing Philadelphia on maybe a Monday night game. I think that would be fun too, or even Baltimore. So I'm assuming that the Lions are going to get 4 primetime games, maybe 5 primetime games.
Right.
So I think it's going to be chock full of different primetime games for this team. So again, like you said, they'll be highlighted. They definitely will be highlighted.
Yeah, it's a team that people want to talk about. I think people are circling when they're going to play the Bears. Those 2 games are going to be epic. People want to see, the revenge factor. They want to see the Lions, even week 1, go out there and thump. Heaven forbid, because the Bears win. Oh my God, it's going to be, I think, even worse with the shit talking between the fan bases. The rivalry is going to get to the next level, and that's what you want. But heaven forbid Ben Johnson wins. Oh my God, he'll take a shot. I don't think that he would be in a position to not say something. So it's going to be fun, man. The schedule release is always good. I'm curious to see how it does shake out. So it'll be fun to break down next week. We'll do with more information. We'll have time. We'll do our classic win-loss. We'll see what Adam thinks as he sees how the layout is. It's going to be fun. Hopefully, the one thing, we'll put it out. We'll manifest it early. Please, league, don't insult the fans and give the Lions a week 3 bye, a week 5 bye, week 7, week 8, week 9. Let this team play, develop, right smack dab in the middle of the year. I think that there'll be some respect for the fact that the Pistons got shit on with their bye last year. It was just completely embarrassing at the highest level to have a team have that early of a bye. So we'll see what happens. We'll see the pressing needs for the Detroit Lions based on their schedule, and we'll see how it shakes out. Number one thing with this team is luck and the development of a lot of their own, because they certainly invested in a lot of their own guys. All right, one final topic here, because we got to now break down a little bit of what Trajan Langdon had to say. We're looking at the Pistons as a team that could add, and of course, what makes it fun with our final segment here is that the Pistons are in that unique spot where Trajan is looking at it like, well, we could see the development of Jaden Ivey, another year of Isaiah Stewart. How much do we invest in Schroeder and Malik Beasley? Do we let them stay? Do we let them go? How much external investment do we need? Do we go out and make a splash? Do we need a megastar? Do we need a megastar? Clearly, we laughed, you and I, at the Kevin Durant nonsense. He's too old, would cost a lot of money. But since we joked about the aging veteran who you said probably you are not a fan of, another star has emerged that says, well, he looks around the landscape and he's sitting down having coffee with his friends. He's like, I'm in Milwaukee. I'm fucking in Milwaukee. This is not the place I can market myself. I can't get myself over here. This is, what is this? And I think Giannis has served his purpose. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the legendary Greek freak, has served his purpose. He got a title. He's fine. He's looking at opportunities like, maybe I could entertain a trade. And people are now looking. You've looked around Bleacher Report, The Athletic. Everybody's putting together their package. And everybody's like, clearly, I haven't looked yet at what you sent in regards to the official Bleacher Report package or The Athletic. But clearly, it's going to involve multiple picks, multiple players. And look, I'm all about it. Like, now, I would say this. I would feel like that Milwaukee would ask for Cade. Like, how do you trade Giannis and not get back another star? Like, Jaden Ivey's not a star. Like, even if they said Ivy, Stewart, Duran, 3 first-round picks, they're like, we didn't replace the contribution. We need Cade and 3 first-rounders. Like, that's the level of star you're getting. And so that's where it's tough. I feel like it's great to ask for. It's amazing to ask for. And fans should say, yeah, let's get a superstar. Cade can be a Batman or a Robin. He's going to be fine. He's a piece. But the question mark is, what's the next piece? And I think that it's fair if you're a general manager, like you and I would clamor for, take another step faster, like throttle it up. You're Trajan Langdon. You're getting paid. You got a patient owner. You already got some credibility by going from 14 to 44 wins. You know, you get that third year, you go, second year, let me see what Ivy looks like with this group. Let me see if I bring the band back together, can they win a series? Because taking another step for the Pistons is just, we probably could. I mean, they sit in the meeting because you probably would say they probably could win a series. They probably could win with this team again. So I love the fan base and their opportunities that they present to want to get Giannis. I just don't think it's realistic. I see another trade here that people made for the Pistons to get J. Rue Holiday and Cam Johnson, but the Pistons got to give up Isaiah Stewart, Tobias Harris, Sasser, and a future first. I just think that's a lot because there is a thing for team chemistry. And it feels like how teams that succeed thrive is they get a superstar, they get lucky in the draft, they build, and then they play together, and they kind of go through the lumps together. I got to say it, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the patience plan. But at the same token, I get the aggressive plan. I love it because I don't go to Pistons games too much. I sit from home, we podcast, I watch a lot of the games, I read. So I don't have a financial commitment to this. I have more of a financial commitment to the Tigers and the Lions. So I look at it like, you know what? For once, maybe let's just support the general manager and say, run it back. Why do you got to do all this trading? And I get it. I get the philosophy. People are like, look, with a couple right moves, you could go from the first round exit to the NBA Finals. It can happen. But I feel like, realistically, with Tyrese Halliburton and Cleveland and what's going on with the Knicks, the Celtics, there's going to be a wiggle room to maneuver in there and get into more of the conversation in the East because those teams are now facing the ramifications of the cap. I'm okay, with running it back. What say you? What do you think with the Pistons? Do they need a mega star? Are you getting teased by, hell, let's just throw it out there and let's try to get Giannis?
Yeah, here's the thing. You have to realize with the way the East is set up, and really the entire NBA setup, right now it's wide open. You could add arguably a top 5, top 10 player to a guy who is emerging as a star in Cade Cunningham. Those are your big two right now. Those guys together could just run up and down the floor. You're at least, with those two guys, you would at least make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think being smart with how you address free agency this year. And look, when you have a guy who's a budding star and then you have a superstar like Giannis, I think then you can go out and you can find another star if you can make it all work underneath the salary cap, and you could have the squad that could win an NBA championship. I'm all about trading for Giannis. And here, I'll give you a little background on kind of what this trade looks like, right? So it'd be Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland, who a lot of people seem to think that there's a bright future for Ron Holland. He'd probably be the big piece here. Jaden Ivey and Ron Holland would probably be the big piece here. Tobias Harris, who's an expiring contract, and then you're getting 3 first round picks, 2026s, 2028s, and 2031s. I would do it in a heartbeat. Look, I like Jalen Duren, but you mean to tell me you can add Giannis? He's going to offset anything you're losing with Jalen Duren. Jaden Ivey, I think this team plays better without him. He's like, I'm already looking to move him and get something back for him. Ron Holland, cool. You want to wait for it? Go ahead. And like I said, Tobias Harris is an expiring contract. He probably won't be back after next season anyways. So I'm all about that. I'm all about this team being aggressive and making moves. I'm kind of tired of the let's wait and see approach. The we'll call it the Steve Yzerman approach. We're gonna let the kids come up together and we're gonna see what they can do. What's that doing for the Red Wings right now? I feel like the Pistons have hit the accelerator with where they are and where they should be. Now, look, the other trade that was presented by Bleacher Report, the big issue I have with that trade is because I like getting Cam Johnson. I think that's the piece. That's the guy that you're looking to get and looking to add. I think the big issue with the trade for Cam Johnson is Isaiah Stewart. I like Isaiah Stewart because I feel like he's one of those guys. He's like a heartbeat guy, right? Like he is the pulse of this team, for better or for worse. Him going out and taking steel chairs to other guys' backs, for better or for worse, he is the pulse and he is that heartbeat and that emotional side of this team. And that's important. That this team seems to feed off of that bad boy image, that rough and tumble, rugged way. You move on from him. To me, it's kind of like looking at the Pistons when Ben Wallace left, right? Yeah, they're good, but they weren't ever the same. That heartbeat, that core guy isn't there. And look, I don't think Isaiah Stewart's any great shakes. The guy is legit. He is a defensive stopper. That is all he is. If you can get 10 out of him on the night, cool. We'll call it good. You know what I'm saying? But you're looking for this guy to go out there and get rebounds, block shots, and just kind of be a thorn in other people's sides. So I don't necessarily want to trade a guy like that. I legit would sub out a guy like Jaden Ivey for Isaiah Stewart. This trade has Tobias Harris going, again, expiring contract, and Marcus Sasser, who might be something good. I don't know. It's still early, and a future first-round pick. But like either way you cut it, you're trading first-round picks. I think for Giannis, if you're trading 3 first-round picks, you have to realize the NBA is a weird place. Generally, if you're lucky, there might be 5 guys who are guys who can step into the league right away and really contribute. Usually, if you're adding Giannis and you've got Cade and you do this right, you're going to be drafting in the low 20s, maybe high 30s, if everything works out the right way. At that point, what does it really matter? You're giving up essentially what are our second round picks. You're getting the same talent that you would get in the second round. So who the hell cares? And that's why I have no problem trading away all those first round picks, letting them be unprotected, and getting a guy like Giannis who is a superstar and can really help usher in whatever this next rendition of the Pistons would be. And like I said, you have a guy like Isaiah Stewart staying. Again, you have that heartbeat, you have that pulse of what this team is. Giannis is a guy who does play defense, is a guy who, I don't want to say he's a try-hard guy, but he's a guy who goes out there with max effort. Like he is a stud. He is a star. So I'm all about trading for him. I'm all about trading for Cam Johnson. I want to see Trajan Langdon be aggressive this offseason. I want to see him make a move. I want to see him go out there and get a guy who can really help take this team to the next level.
Okay, but see, because look, you sent the trade, and it just looks funny. Duran, Ivy, Holland, Harris, and multiple first-round picks. Teams don't. I feel like you're giving up way, way too much of team chemistry for one player. You got to replace these. You got to replace at least half those guys. And I think to me, Giannis would sell tickets. It's literally like the Lakers. You would expect that they would have got out of the first round. They didn't. They made the Luka deal, and they got a guy that doesn't play defense. And there's assets you got to give up. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 players and 3 first. That's a lot. And I think Giannis would be great with Cade, but then I think you got a 2-man team, and I think that the sum of the Pistons is better than the whole of one superstar. I'd love to pay. If you want to pay, if you want to sell tickets, I would go to see Giannis and Cade. But if you ask me competitively, do I think this move that was sent, all those assets, would make them a competitor? I don't. I think that there's still teams that are better, and it would take you probably 5 years to replace that level of talent. Giving up that many first-round picks, it's just tough. I think that you go with the development plan and you ride it out. But listen, are you guys listening, Team Adam? And let's go throttle it up? Or are you Team Doc? And hey, let's just support these general managers for once. Let us know at Detroit Podcast. Listen, it's all the same. I can't go to the mat with Adam on this one because we're clamoring for more talent. There's nothing wrong with that. I just think that Trajan Langdon, when you go from 14 to 44, you get a little respect to say, hey, you know what? Kick your feet up, take a free year. This was supposed to be your free year. You won. Take a free year. See what you got. So to me, this year's free to me. You got to the postseason. You competed against the Knicks. It's a free year. So see what you got with Ivy and this crew. Bring everybody back.
Well, here, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this real quick. So staying with the Giannis trade, right?
Yep.
Again, like I said, the first round picks, not worried about it. It's like second round picks. So you're giving up a guy like Jalen Duren. You've got Isaiah Stewart. He just kind of slides over. He's now your starting center. That's fine. Jaden Ivey's gone. Like we've discussed, I think this team plays better without him. But you're going to essentially put Giannis in that role, I would think. You would still have Asura Thompson. You're trading away Tobias Harris again. He's that expiring deal. So you can maybe go out and find a veteran that you could play as your power forward, or you could slide Asura Thompson there, and you could bring maybe Marcus Sasser in as your strong forward. You've got line combinations, and you're basically trying to fill out the last 3 spots on your roster. I don't see this being a problem. And yes, a lot of it is chemistry, right? It is trying to get guys who want the same thing and want to compete and are willing to play this style of basketball, because this is not an enviable style of basketball. This is not what other people write home about. This is not what gets the highlights on ESPN. This is rugged work, right? You're going out there, you're taking bumps, you're bumping people, you're grinding on teams. I think adding Giannis, it does help add a little bit of pizzazz and a little bit of shooting and kind of opens things up a little bit offensively. But at the core, this team is still going out there trying to hurt you. They're trying to body bag you whenever they play you. That's what it is. So you've got to be able to find a mix of guys who have that mentality and don't mind doing that work. And I think if it leads to a championship, I think a lot of guys are cool with it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, very fair. I think that a lot of different ways to build, and I like your aggressiveness. Nothing wrong with that. Make sure you follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRSJROZ. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast. Let us know what you think. Is it time? Are you guys seriously entertaining the Superstar edition? I like it. I like where you guys are at. But the one thing is that Pistons basketball is on fire. Tigers baseball on fire. Lions football on fire. Detroit Red Wings.
Red Wings, ice cold.
Cold as ice. Not willing to pay the price for success. That's just the way it is. And that's where we're at in Detroit sports. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We appreciate it. Thanks again for liking, subscribing, commenting, whether you like us or don't like us. I love your guys' honesty because someone messaged me today. I love when we write articles or do podcasts and they ask questions about stuff that was in the podcast or in the story. And I'm like, did you listen to the podcast? You know we don't open podcasts on Twitter. You know we don't read stories. We love what you do, but we don't actually open it. And I'm like, okay, guys, help us out. Actually, before you comment, listen to all the comments before you fly off the handle and call me a dick or Adam, a know-it-all who doesn't know anything. Please just listen from start to finish, then opine. Don't listen to a segment. Don't skip ahead. Listen to the whole thing. Let it marinate. Then fire off an ex-post, and then we'll have our civil discourse. So that's my PSA for today. Listen, enjoy, tweet, have a good time with it, and thanks everybody for your positivity and your negativity. I love those that stamp on that clown on us last week that are like, oh my God, you really think this is what's going on in sports? That's why nobody listens to your podcast. Well, I'll tell you this. More people listen than you think, and we've been around for 15 years, so it's a great opportunity to have banter and be a small part of the Detroit sports community, and I appreciate the love, the hate, and the fury and passion of the Detroit sports fan. I can't wait to fire it up. Is it next Wednesday, Tuesday already? I can't wait to fire it up next week to break down everything going on in the world of Detroit sports. And by the way, the NBA's rigged and Dallas getting number one. Totally fucked. We all know it. Peace!
You fucking podcasters. I said don't let them in here.